You know, God is really something, isn't he? I know a pastor that calls him Hoot. You know, he calls it his Hoot theology, right? God's a Hoot theology, right, Pastor Gary? Okay. At first I took offense to that. But when you understand what Hoot is, he is, I'll tell you. He's a marvelous, marvelous, awesome God that we serve. He takes human beings like that and he creates those sounds and everything that just gets to your spirit and brings up the Holy Spirit in you and quickens you and people's heads are bobbing and you just can't stop not wanting to dance to Him. Isn't that great? It's fantastic. We've got some really powerful people in the audience tonight, this morning. I'm talking about every one of you. Amen. Every one of you, because you have the power of Jesus Christ living inside of you. Now, we can be bishops and we can be pastors and we can be lay people and we can be just talkers. That's what I am. I'm just a talker. God gave me a mouth and it has never stopped working. And I want that mouth to honor and glorify Him. Before I come up here, I ask the Holy Spirit to just put His words in my mouth, not my words. I know what I want to say, but I want to say it in His language. Nancy and I welcome you to, I forgot which number this was. I didn't put it down. I think it's 33. Good number. 33, okay. Yeah. That's it. The Marketplace Believer staff welcomes you here. It's going to be an awesome day. There's an awesome message today. I want to thank Best Events and Melissa and Kelly, our servers. Great job for those guys. Give them a hand. Holy Spirit, you're welcome in this place. And let those that you have sent have ears to hear. Today I'm going to talk to you about being in the belly of the fish. I'm going to talk about Jonah because there's people that are sitting here in the audience, there's people on camera that are right now in the belly of the whale. Life is not too great for them. Things aren't going exactly right for them. So we're going to talk about Jonah and what Jonah did and what happened to him and why it happened to him, and relate it to you in your personal life and in your business life. You know, God gave Jonah an assignment. He just called him, said, I want you to go over to Nineveh, and I want you to talk to them and preach against the wickedness that they're doing. Because they've come up in my sight, and I want you to go over there and talk to them about it so they can be refreshed and renewed. Well, Nineveh was the hated enemy of Israel. They were Gentiles. They were the enemy. And Jonah didn't want to leave his comfort of Canaan that he was in and go over to Assyria there and preach to these people that he didn't believe deserved it. They didn't deserve God's mercy in his mind. But that's not what God asked him to do. God didn't ask for his opinion. God asked for him to do something. So Jonah takes off south, opposite where God told him to go. He's going to head for Tarshish. He gets on a boat, and he gets out there in the sea heading for Tarshish, and a storm comes up. And all the people on the boat are of different nationalities and different idols that they're worshiping and things like that. So everybody is throwing stuff overboard, trying to lighten the boat up, and the storm is getting worse and worse and worse. And finally they start all praying to their idols and to their gods for deliverance. So they come down to the fact that, well, let's shoot some dice on this thing. And let's find out who's really causing this. So they cast the lots. And the lots fell on Jonah. Now Jonah is down in the lower decks of the boat, sleeping. Raging sea outside, boats tossing and turning. He's down there sleeping. Fast forward a couple hundreds and hundreds of years to another person who was sleeping in the bottom of a boat with his head on a pillow during a raging storm. That's Jesus. So the crew of the boat, they go to Jonah and they say, the lots tell us that you're the one who's causing this. What's the problem? Well, so he fesses up to him that he's running from God. God had given him direction, and he's running from him. And that the only way the storm is going to be calmed is if they throw him overboard. Interesting thing happened right there. The people just didn't go and grab him and throw him overboard. They went and they prayed to God. They prayed to Jonah's God. And they prayed to Jonah's God not to hold this death of this innocent man against them when they throw him overboard. So they didn't just grab him and throw him overboard and end it. They actually went to his God and said, don't hold this against us. We're going to throw him overboard, but don't hold this against us. So they grabbed him, they threw him overboard, and the sea calmed. God showed up in the middle of a crisis, and he changed the lives of everybody on that boat, because now everybody on that boat probably were throwing their idols overboard because they just found a brand new God that was powerful and awesome and that could show himself alive. Not just some piece of stone or wood, but alive. So out of crisis, God shows up. And he shows up not for your benefit, most often, because Jonah's now thrashing around in the waves, but for the benefit of that crew. That crew got changed in an instant. And they now are receiving the mercy of God.